our head and put ourselves in the presence of God. I thank the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. So, Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessings that we receive. Lord God, guide us in this report. Give us wisdom, knowledge, and we ask this for Christ our Lord.
Amen. You may take your seats. So again, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, teachers!
So, may absent ba ngayon?
Wala po!
So, before we proceed to our proper discussion, let us introduce our names. So, I am Marian Andico.
I am Elamay Casimiro. I am Narayani Ekasa. I am Kimberly Yakura. I am Lima Natugani.
I am Rosina Charoyot.
I am Alice State.
I am A.M. Francisco.
I am Michael Otaviano. I am Vincent Dagway.
And we are the Rumay.
Let us have our activity first. So, our activity is called Super Mario Mystery Box. So, the mystery box may be good or bad. So, it can be an additional points or minus. Yes, a minus point. So, there will be two teams. So, you will have a chance to give the box or give it to another team. Okay, so you understand?
Yes.
Okay, so mag-ano na lang to, sakay na lang sila yung magiging una. Sila ahead. The team 1 will be the head and team 2 will be the tail. Okay, the team 2 will choose a box first. Okay, team 2. And so, what kind of species is Apogonia zani? Yes, it's a beetle. It's number 1. Beetle. It's a small beetle. So you will going to choose if you will give the box or give it to another team. Here. Okay, so here. Okay, so for the team number 1, choose a box. A. Okay, answer these. Rizal knew 22 languages. Give 1.
French.
French. Let's see. French. Tagalog, Ilocano, Spanish, Greek, English, French. Okay. So you will choose to give or give. Okay. Give. Ayos yan. Okay. Team number 2. Okay. Governor General Blanco and the ministers of war and colony stated him as dangerous Filipino. It is a true or false? Governor General Blanco and the ministers of war and the colony stated him or Rizal as dangerous Filipino. False. Answer this. A superior of the spirits. Sino yung emperor? Ha? Emperor?
Emperor Louis.
Emperor. Mother. Okay. For the team number 2, choose a box. Ano ba? Ito, Jane. Okay.
lizard.
Like Lord.
Yes.
Like Dragon. So Luca, a particular type of set of lighter, he invented during his medical practice in Panama. Give as a gift to whom? No. What is the price? Diana? Okay, so number one. In December 30, 1896 at 3 a.m., he rose up, prayed, and confessed his life. Five.
Si Bethel, si Mari, si Duda.
Good morning, my dear students. Let me first introduce myself. I'm Renzo Taglian. I will be your teacher for today's topic. So since we already talked about the previous topic about results life, education, and trip on abroad, today we're going to tackle about the exile, trial, and death of Rizal. Rizal exile in Dapitan started when Rizal decided to go back to his motherland, which is the Philippines, after his trip in Europe. When Rizal arrived here in the Philippines, umani ng napakaraming ingay dahil sa kanyang kasikatan. And according to him, it was very sensational when he arrived because he was popular not only for the Filipinos but also to the Spaniards. Why? Bakit siya naging sikat? Dahil siya ay isang Pilipino na nakapag-aral sa ibang bansa, matalino, sumali sa iba't ibang organisasyon at nakapagsulat ng isang nobela na ang nilalaman ay nakaabot na yung ingay sa Pilipinas, lalo na sa mga Kastila at Fraile. Kumbaga, batchat na si Rizal sa mga Kastila at ngayon bumabalik siya sa kanyang minamahal na bayan ng Pilipinas at talaga namang gumawa siya ng ingay. Now, when Rizal arrived here in the Philippines, siya ay binabantayan ng mga Kastila. They were really looking for something na pwede maibubuta sa kanya. Hindi kasi naman pwedeng hulihin at akusahan siya about his novel na Noli Me Tangere, because the way he wrote this novel, it is very indirect and napaka-metaphoric. Kumbaga, sumisimbolo lamang siya sa mga kalupitan at maling pamamalakad ng mga Kastila at Fraile. That is why they really waiting for a perfect time para hulihin si Rizal. Yes, the Noli Me Tangere ay nakalusot at nakapasok dito sa Pilipinas dahil sa tulong ng isang tao na taga Hong Kong na ang apelyido ay Basa. The historian says that Basa helps to smuggle and export the novel Noli Me Tangere here in the Philippines nang hindi nalalaman ng mga Kastila. So it was June 26, 1892 when Rizal arrived here in Philippines. And on July 3, 1892, gaya ng kanyang plano, Rizal established the Liga Pilipina. The goal of this organization is for the promotion of reforms para sa kanyang minamahal na bayan ng Pilipinas, hindi para gamitin sa isang revolusyon. When Rizal established the Liga Pilipina sa bahay ni Doroteo Ohongko in Tondo, Manila. So, umabot ang balita sa mga Spaniards or sa mga Kastila na si Rizal ay nagtayo o nagtatag ng isang organisasyon na ito. 4 days after Rizal established the Liga Pilipina, siya ay hinuli sa 4 na kaso. Una, nagsulat si Rizal ng mga libro at articles na anti-Catholic and anti-friars. Pangalawa, may kopya si Rizal ng pamphlet na ang title ay Pobres Frailes. Ang Pobres Frailes, it is a fictional story tungkol sa mga Dominican friars na nagkukurap sa mga naghihirap and mga asawa ng mga balo Pilipino, yung mga paring Dominicans daw, naga-encourage sa mga mahihirap at mga balo yung mga namatayan ng asawa na mag-invest sa bangko hanggang sa mag-lead ito sa korupsyon. Pangatlo, because of the writings of Rizal, specifically the Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. Of course, it was already read by the Spaniards, and this novel El Filibusterismo was dedicated by Rizal to the three Combursa, knowing the fact that the Combursa was popular to the Spaniards in the past because there were a Filipino priest na pinaghihinalaan na nagtraidor sa Espanya. So nalaman ng mga Kastila na ang nobelang El Filibusterismo ay dinedicate or inspired by the Combursa at naging inspirasyon ni Rizal upang gawin ang nobelang ito. Pang-apat, kinikriticize daw ni Rizal ang reliyon at ang simbahang Katolika. And according to Rizal, ang gusto daw ng mga Spaniards na mailayo ng reliyon ang kultura ng mga Pilipino sa mga Pilipino. So the aim of the religion, natanggalin ang Filipino culture. These are the 4 reasons why Rizal exiled in Dapitan. Si Rizal ay hinatulan na magstay for a certain number of years sa Dapitan. Nakarating si Rizal sa dapitan ng bandang gabi at siya ay sinalubong ng mga Spanish guards. As sa kanya pagdating, the Spanish guards are very kind. Naging mabuti naman ang pagtrato nila kay Rizal at hindi sila naging malupit kay Rizal. Ang nagdala kay Rizal sa dapitan na ang pangalan ng barkong pandagat ay Cebu. May dalawa siyang nakilala. Sila ay sina Father Pablo Pastels and Father Antonio Obac. It was July 17, 1892 when Rizal arrived in Dapitan. Yung pinatapon si Rizal sa Dapitan, the punishment was he needs to stay in Dapitan for 4 years. Rizal was placed under the supervision of Captain Ricardo Carnicero. He is a politico-military commander of Dapitan. When Rizal arrived in Dapitan, he was welcomed by Captain Carnicero and give him a two options where he wishes to stay. First, if he wants to stay at the convent with Father Antonio Obac, or he wants to stay at the house of Captain Carnicero. Captain Carnicero said to Rizal, "Ginoong Rizal, saan nyo pong gustong manirahan? Gusto nyo po bang magstay dito sa akin sa headquarters? Or doon po sa kumbento kasama si Father Obac?" While nag-uusap ang dalawa, biglang dumating si Father Obac. Father Obac said to Rizal, "Tatanggapin kita patirahin sa kumbento sa mga kondisyon na ito. Una, you must retract all your Masonic beliefs. Bawiin mo lahat ng mga masamang na sinabi mo sa Noli Me Tangere at El Filibusterismo at sa lahat ng pagtutol mo sa simbahang Katolika at pamahalaan ng Espanya. Second and third, you must participate in the church rites and conduct yourself as a good Spanish subject and a man of religion. Bumalik ka sa pagiging Katoliko." As you can remember, tumalikod si Rizal sa pagiging Katoliko at sumali sa isang organisasyon na ang pangalan ay Mason. But it doesn't mean na si Rizal ay anti-Christ. Kung baga, lumayo lang siya sa pamamalakad ng relihiyon. Pero, nandiyan pa rin ang kanyang paniniwala sa Diyos. So, Rizal respond to Father Obac with regards of Father Obac's condition. Rizal said, "Padre Obac, pasensya na po, pero dito po ako maninirahan kay Ginoong Carnicero." So, if we're going to describe Carnicero, according to Rizal, napakabuti daw ng kapitan or ng leader na ito. Hindi niya trinato si Rizal na parang bilanggo sa dapitan. Although, Captain Carnicero received Rizal as a prisoner, but both of them enjoyed each other companies and they become really good friends. Sabi ni Carnicero kay Rizal, "Ginoong Rizal, hindi po kayo isang bilanggo lang, kundi kayo po ay isa kong bisita." Now, si Carnicero ay isa ring kapitan. Siya ay pinakamataas na Spanish official sa isla ng Dapitan. Dahil nga napakabuti ni Carnicero, during his birthday, ginawan siya ni Rizal ng isang tula as a gift. And during his time, kapag ginawan ka ng isang tula, ay isa na itong malaking pribilehiyo. So, as a return, Captain Carnicero allowed Rizal to have his freedom and to go anywhere as long as within the premises of the town, in Dapitan only. Kahit saan, as long as hindi lalabas si Rizal sa bayan ng Dapitan, may freedom si Rizal kahit saan siyang gustong pumunta. Now, si Rizal ay naging okay naman sa Dapitan. Naging mapayapa, naging masaya, at nakapagtayo ng isang klinika na i-practice niya ang kanyang profesyon na doktor at nakapaggamot siya ng may sakit. Of course, nung una nahirapan siya because he was not with his family. Hindi naman pinayagan yung family niya para bisitahin siya. Nabanggit rin ng story na si Rizal ay tumataya rin sa loto. Captain Carnicero and Rizal betted in a lottery. May isang barko na ang pangalan ay Butuan ay nagdala ng balita na si Rizal ay nanalo ng loto. Siya ay nanalo ng higit 20 million pesos. The ticket number of Rizal is 9736. Rizal shares. He bought a land nearby. He built a house and schools and even accepted students kahit walang perang pambayad tuition. Isa sa naging kondisyon ni Rizal sa mga estudyante kung maaaring pwedeng tumulong sa household chores. Other part of his house was used for eye clinic. Visually, his patient is from Luzon and Hong Kong, and other information na dito raw sa Dapitan na gamot ni Rizal ang kanyang mother's eyesight na si Doña Teodora Alonzo. And lastly, he built the house for ladies and families who can visit him in Dapitan. Yes, I've already mentioned it earlier na hindi inalaw ng kanyang pamilya para bisitahin siya. But also, with the help of Don Carnicero or Captain Carnicero, he wrote a letter to the Governor General requesting to allow the family of Rizal to visit him in Dapitan. And it was granted naman. Nakadalaw ang family ni Rizal sa Dapitan. On May 4, 1893, napalitan si Captain Carnicero. He was replaced by Captain Juan Sitges. Captain Sitges did want to live with a depart. Ayaw niya na may kasama siya. Therefore, he assigned Rizal to live in a house that is near in the headquarters and ordered Rizal to appear to him 3 times a week. Nagdaan ng ilang linggo, nag-iba ang ihip ng hangin. Nag-iba ang attitude ni Sitges. What he did is that he restored all the privileges that Rizal enjoyed during Captain Carnicero's term. Habang sa Dapitan si Rizal, the Catholic Church ay hindi tumigil i-convince si Rizal to retract and bawiin ang lahat ng sinabi niya against the Spaniards, government, and church. They even sent to Dapitan his former professor at Ateneo, Father Francisco de Paula Sanchez, to convince Rizal to retract. However, nagmatigas pa rin si Rizal sa kanyang paniniwala at pinanindigan pa rin ni Rizal. What is retraction? Ito ay pagbawi ng mga sinabi ni Rizal against the Spanish government and friars. When Rizal was in Dapitan, he kept himself busy. After acquainting himself with the surroundings, he began to make some improvements. He helped to clean up the plaza of Dapitan. He even light up at night the coconut lamps, because during the time of Rizal in Dapitan, Dapitan does not have access to the electricity. Rizal had many contributions in Dapitan. That contribution of Rizal in Dapitan will be discussed by my other members of the group or the next reporter. While Rizal is on Dapitan, There is still time for love. Rizal fell in love with an 18-year-old girl, Irish girl, Josephine Bracken. Josephine Bracken is the daughter of George Taffer, na naging pasyente ni Rizal. However, hindi pabor si George Taffer kay Rizal para kay Josephine Bracken, at pinagbantaan ni George Taffer if magkatuluyan sila ni Rizal at ni Josephine Bracken ay magsisuicide ito. Gusto magpakasal ni Rizal at Josephine Bracken sa church, kaya lang tumanggi si Father Oba. And guess what? Bago niya basbasan ang dalawa, nagbigay na naman siya ng kondisyon kay Rizal that he needs to retract his beliefs, but without the benefits of matrimony, the couple considered themselves as married. Without the blessing of the church, Rizal and Josephine Bracken considered themselves married. Relatives and friends of Rizal ay tutol at hindi pabor kay Josephine Bracken. Why? Dahil pinaghinalaan si Josephine Bracken ay isang espiya galing sa mga praile. Bakit kaya silang nagsuspetsya kay Josephine Bracken? Si Josephine Bracken and her stepfather, George Taffer, ay galing sa Hong Kong. They heard the news that there is one person named Jose Rizal na magaling na doktor galing sa Philippines. They visited Dapitan and approached Rizal to cure George Taffer's eyes. Knowing the fact that they are foreigners, they need a tour guide, kaya nagsama sila ng isang tour guide, and she was Manuela Orlac. Manuela Orlac ang naging dahilan kung bakit nagsuspetsya ang kapatid ni Rizal kay Josephine Bracken. Dahil si Manuela Orlac was very close to the friars, kaya nag-conclude sila na baka spy sila ng mga Spaniards. And additional with that, dito na natin malalaman kung gaano kadesperado ang mga Spaniards or Spanish authority kay Rizal. Rizal had many visitors in Dapitan. One of these whom is a spy of the friars named Pablo Mercado, who posed as Rizal's relatives. His real name was Florencio Manaan. Namaan. Siya ay nagpapanggap na kamag-anak ni Rizal at sinabi niya kay Rizal, "Senyor Rizal, ako ay yung kamag-anak. Kung meron kayong sulat na gustong ipadala, ipagkatiwala nyo po sa akin. Ako na po ang bahala." According to the historians, Florencio Namaan ay pinadala ng mga Spaniards sa Dapitan upang patayin si Rizal. At sinabi naman ng iba, pinadala siya hindi para patayin si Rizal, kundi obserbahan at maging spiya kay Rizal. But you know what? Florencio Namaan managed to escape. Nakatakas siya. And another visitor of Rizal was Pio Valenzuela. Sino naman to si Pio Valenzuela? Si Pio Valenzuela, he was a missionary of Andres Bonifacio. Siya ay pinadala sa Dapitan sa special mission. During that time, Andres Bonifacio was the Supremo of the Katipunan. Pio Valenzuela went there to ask for an advice of Rizal on how to to launch their planned revolution against Spain. Other thing, they offered to assist Rizal, of course, with the help of Katipunan on escaping from Dapitan. Tutulungan nila si Rizal upang makatakas sa Dapitan. But Rizal objected to their plan, citing the following reasons. Number one is the revolutionary must have enough arms and weapons to fight against Spaniards. And second, launch a revolution, they need to have support to the rich and middle class dahil sila ay may kaya at may pera at may malaking ambag sa supply at armas at sandata. Third, the revolution must led by educated people. Sila tong mga tao na nakapagtapos ng pag-aaral. Sila ay tinatawag na ilustrados. And lastly, he advised to make Antonio Luna as their general and a leader of the revolution. Dahil si Antonio Luna ay kilala bilang magaling na general at magaling sa pagkikipagdigma. At sinabi rin ni Rizal kay Pio Valenzuela ay itigil nyo ang plano na ito dahil maraming inosente ang madadamay. Lastly, tinanong ni Pio Valenzuela kay Rizal kung gusto niya bang tumakas sa Dapitan. Ang sagot ni Rizal, he would like to honor his words to the Spaniards before the exile in Dapitan. And dagdag ni Rizal, kung gusto kong tumakas, sana matagal ko na tong ginawa. Tinanong siya ni Valenzuela, what if the revolution has begun? And the Spaniards naturally suspect you as the cause. And Rizal responds, alam ko kung paano ko pangalagaan ang sarili ko. Yung mga revolutionary at katipuneros ang dapat mag-alala sa pwedeng mangyari kahit nan sa kanilang gagawin. By the way, nakalusot at nakapasok si Pio Valenzuela sa Dapitan dahil kay Ramon Dumata. Isinama ni Pio Valenzuela si Ramon Dumata. Si Ramon Dumata ay isa ring siyang may sakit sa mata at magpapagumot kay Rizal. At makalusot sa Dapitan without knowing ng mga Spanish guards. Aside sa magpapagamot siya kay Rizal, may hidden purpose rin siya sa pagpapapuntad. Nung tumanggi si Rizal sa pag-uusap nilang ni Pio Valenzuela, ay umalis rin sila agad. Unfortunately, hindi rin nagamot si Ramon Dumata. Now, dito na papasok yung second trip ni Rizal sa ibang bansa. Yes, meron pangalawang trip si Rizal sa ibang bansa. So, tumagal ng ilang araw, nabalitaan ni Rizal na may revolutionary or revolution at epidemic sa Cuba. So, Rizal sent a letter to Governor General Ramon Blanco requesting na gusto niyang maging volunteer as a doctor sa Cuba. During that time, tapos na yung 4 years na punishment sa kanya na magstay sa Dapitan. Sa tagal ng pagstay ni Rizal sa Dapitan, in turn out, na pagmahal na ng mga taga-Dapitan si Rizal. Kaya nalungkot rin sila nung nalaman nila aalis na si Rizal sa Dapitan. In fact, maraming contribution si Rizal sa Dapitan during nagstay si Rizal doon sa Dapitan. So, the one that will tackle about that contribution of Rizal will be the next reporter. So, as a continuation, no? Ngayon naman, naaprubahan na ang letter ni Rizal at pinagbigyan rin siya na maging volunteer sa Cuba, as a doctor sa Cuba. At midnight that day, umalis na si Rizal. Sakay sa steamer at a steamer boat na ang pangalan ay Espanya. So, it is the second trip of Rizal sa ibang bansa. His first trip on abroad ay para sa bakasyon at ipagpatuloy ang kanyang edukasyon. Pero yung second trip ni Rizal sa ibang bansa ay hindi na naging meaningful nung pumunta siya sa ibang bansa. That is all for my report. The next report I will discuss the contribution of Rizal while he is on the Dapitan. So thank you very much.
So, good day everyone. I'm Emi Ann Francisco and I am the second reporter. So, my topic is all about the architectural and engineering works the doctor is in and revealing the best in Europe. So, architectural and engineering works. When Rizal obtained the title Perito Agrimensor from Ateneo Municipal, he already had practical knowledge in surveying. He widened his knowledge by reading engineering books. He successfully provided a sound water system in the province by directing it and following the contour of the valley and crossing several gullies with bamboo tubes. I want to do all I can do for this town. A letter for Father Pastel. So, aside from being a writer and a doctor, Jose Rizal was also a licensed land surveyor who engaged in design and construction works such as the Dapitan Dam and waterworks in 1894. So, he also built 3 distinct bamboo and nipa houses which were square, hexagon, and octagonal in shape. And during the Spanish regime, there were no laws regulating the professions of architects and civil engineers. Being a maestro de obra was the closest title to being an architect. So it was only 89 years in June 17, 1950 after Rizal Law was born. So when RA number 544 and 545, the 2 laws segregating the 2 professions, were passed and led to the exclusivity of roles in the architectural and civil engineering profession. So now, let's proceed to the next. The doctor is in. So, Jose Rizal provided free medicine to his patients and are underprivileged. He had wealthy patients like Don Ignacio, who paid him 300 pesos for restoring his sight. So, ang Englishman who gave him 500 pesos and Aclanon haciendero Don Francisco Ascoraga, who paid him a cargo of sugar. So, binigyan ni Rizal ng libreng gamot ang kanyang mga pasyente at karamihan ang mga kapuspalad. Siya ay may mayayamang pasyente tulad ni Don Ignacio na nagbabayad sa kanya ng 300 pesos para sa pagpapanumbalik ng kanyang paningin. So, isang Ingles naman na nagbigay sa kanya ng 500 at si Aclanon Haciendero Don Francisco Ascotraga na nagbayad sa kanya ng isang kargamento ng asukal. So, Agosto 1893, nasubok ang kanyang husay nang hindi pinansin ni Doña Teodora ang mga tagubilin ng kanyang anak at tinanggal ang mga benta na nagdudulot ng impeksyon. So now, let's proceed to the revealing the best in Europe. Together with his friend, Father Francisco Sanchez, he helped remake the plaza, which he jokingly said must rival the best in Europe. So they helped the citizen place lampposts and every corner for the Dapitan first lighting system. So Commandant Carcinero sent for the new plaza 24 iron benches and 2,600 meters of wire. Kasama ang kanyang kaibigan na si Father Francisco Sanchez, tinulungan niya gawing muli ang plaza na pabirong sinabi niya, dapat karibal ang pinakamahusay sa Europa. Tinulungan nila ang mayayaman na maglagay ng mga poste ng lampara sa bawat lugar ng Dapitan para sa unang sistema ng ilaw ng Dapitan. Ipinadala ni Commandant Carcinero ng metro ng kawat para sa bagong plaza at 24 na bakal na bangko at 26 na raang metro ng alambre. So, everyone knows how Jose Rizal's travels in Europe helped mold his ideas for reform in his homeland. So, but it was an unlikely friendship with one European academic who was so engrossed about the Philippines that cemented these concepts in Rizal's mind. So that's all about my topic. So now let's proceed to the next reporter.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Naiman S. Abdulgani, reporter for today. So today, I'm going to discuss the Rizal exile in Dapitan. So my topic, from lot to lot, farmer to trader. So dito, bilang kabilang nga si Rizal sa pamilyang Inquilino, parang na-install sa kanya ang pagkakaroon ng strong, deep connection sa pagsasaka. So, nung si Rizal pinatapos sa Dapitan, napagpatuloy niya ang nasimulan ng kanyang angkan. So, sa lugar na iyon, si Rizal nakabili ng isang farmland. So, ang nasa farm ni Rizal, nagsimula siyang magtanim ng palay at mais. At niyaya rin niya ang kanyang bayaw na si Manuel Hidalgo para mag-partner, pagbebenta ng mga abaka o profitable crop in Manila. So habang si Rizal nasa Dapitan, na-observe niya ang mga lokal daw hindi marunong gumamit ng lambat. Possess limited knowledge in the field of agriculture and fishing. Kahit na malapit lang sila sa karagatan, hindi sila marunong gumamit ng lambat. So recognize the need for agricultural advancement. Also, Rizal actively encouraged the Dapitan farmer to adopt the modern farmer practices. Also, he advocated to use the fertilizer, crop rotation, and farm machinery to enhance the productivity and yield. Also, ni-request din Rizal sa kanyang bayaw na magpadala sa mga lokal doon ng lambat. At si Rizal mismo ang nagturo sa kanila kung paano gumamit ng fishing nets. Also, si Rizal gusto na rin magkaroon ng agricultural colony in Sitio Ponot. So, he became a successful farmer in Dapitan. So next, so dito, in 1892, nakabalik na nga si Rizal sa Manila. Umalis siya sa Hong Kong kasama ang kanyang kapatid na si Lucia. Kahit pa na hindi papayag ang kanyang pamilya bumalik sa Manila dahil nangangahulugan lamang ito ang kanyang kamatayan. Ngunit, ipinaglaban pa rin ni Rizal ang kanyang misyon para sa bayan. So, before si Rizal umalis sa Hong Kong, may mga liham siyang pinaiingatan para kay Dr. Marquez. At biling niya kay Dr. Marquez, buksan lamang ang kanyang liham kapag ito ay mamatay. So, ang mga liham ang nakasulat sumusunod, sulat para sa kanyang ina, sulat para sa kanyang mga kapatid, at sulat din para sa Sambayanan Pilipinas, at sulat din para kay Gobernador General Des Pujol. So, in August 26, 1893, ang kanyang kapatid na si Trinidad at ang kanyang ina na si Doña Teodoro umalis na sa Hong Kong patungo sa Dapitan, kung saan si Rizal nasa pagka-exile. Ang kanilang paglalakbay patungo sa Dapitan ay bahagi lamang ito ng pagtangkilik at pagsasama, pagtatagpo ng isang pamilya matapos ng pagsubok at pangyayari sa buhay ni Rizal. So, in October 1895, sumulat nga si Rizal ng tula para sa kanyang ina na may pamagat na Mi Ritero. Ito ay nagpapahayag ng pagmamahal at pagmamalasakit para sa kanyang ina. At ang tula ng Mi Ritero o sa English, My Retreat, ito ay isang halimbawa ng kanyang likhang sining ni Rizal at husay sa pagsusulat at pagpapahayag ng kanyang damdamin. So, next, in the polyglot. So, dito, si Rizal kilala natin bilang isang pabansang bayani. At kilala din siya sa kahusayan at katalinuhan sa maraming larangan. So, did you know Rizal know the 22 language? Ito ay nagpapatunay sa kanyang angking talino na marunong siyang sa iba't ibang wikain na nalinag sa kanyang sariling sikap at pagtatyaga. Yan ang ating bayani. That's all.
So, good day everyone. My name is Noraini A. Kasan. So, today I'm going to discuss the given topic to me, which is the important things happened during the exiles of Rizal in Dapitan. So, first is inventions and scientific works of Rizal. So, the first one is cigarette lighter called sulpakan. So, sulpakan, it is invented in 1887 and it is made of wood. And its mechanism based on the principles of compressed earth. Compressed earth. So, next is wooden machines for making bricks which produces 6,000 bricks daily. So, si Rizal yung first naka-invento ng bricks machine dito sa bansa natin. And also, nag-produce ito ng 6,000 bricks in 6,000 bricks daily. So, the third one is curved mold for biscuit and other bakery tools. And also, si Rizal din yung nag-invent ng mga tools sa paggawa ng mga biscuit. And the fourth one is Rizal engineered the constructions of water system that supplied fresh water to community. So, si Rizal yung nag-construct ng water system para mag-supply sa community. So, ngayon, dadako tayo sa mga na-discover ni Rizal. 3 species na na-discover ni Rizal. So, first one is the 3 rare species animal discovered by Dr. Rizal. So, the first one is the Draco rizali. So, Draco rizali, it is a flying dragon. It is kind of lizard na may pakpak. And the second one is the Apogonia rizali. Yung Apogonia rizali, it is a small beetle. So the next one or the last one is the Rhacoporus rizali. Yung Rhacoporus rizali po it is a rare frog or color. Yung color ng frog na to is orange. So next, let's proceed to the tree knowledge. So the next topic is the tree of knowledge. So Talisay, near the Pitan, he established a school with his farm and hospital. 16 boys attended class. Instead of charging his student, inutusan niya na lang ito gumawa ng community project. And also, Rizal established a school in Dapitan in 1893 while exiled there. Seeing education as a key to liberations and reform, the schools grew from 3 to 21 students over a time. Also, yung tinuturo ni Rizal sa kanila is subject like Spanish, English, math, science, and morality, and passing hands-on work. And also, tinawag niyang Talisay Tree yung school na pinagtuturuan niya. And tinawag niya yung Talisay Tree kasi nagaturo siya sa under ng Talisay. And so also, gumawa siya ng poem entitled Hymno at Talisay. Kinakanta ito ng student niya during pagkatapos ng klase niya or during the class. His last love. Also, napanood natin sa movie, nagkaroon si Josephine Bracken and Dr. Jose Rizal ng anak. Pero namatay lang ito kalaunan. And yung katangian ni Josephine Bracken, she is slender, blonde, blue eyes, well-dressed, and light countenance. Nagkakilala si Josephine Bracken and Dr. Jose Rizal dahil kay Juanito. Pinakilala ito ni Juanito, which is friend ni Rizal. Pinakilala si Rizal kay Josephine Bracken at doon nabuo yung pagmamahalan ni Rizal and Josephine Bracken. So, in March 14, 1895, a letter to Doña Teodora please treat Josephine as a person whom I esteem and much appreciated, and I would not like to see exposed and abandoned. So, gumawa siya letter. In March 14, 1895, gumawa ng letter si Dr. Jose Rizal sa kanyang nanay. And also, dagdag lang, additional knowledge, yung Rizal immortalized her toward the ends of mi ultimo adios. Sa mi ultimo adios, nandun si Josephine Bracken, which is, yung word niya is, adios, mi amiga, mi alegría. So, it means, farewell, sweet foreigner, my darling, and my delight. So,
hi everyone, my name is Alame Casimiro, and now we will proceed to our discussion. So, a talk in the garden. So, prior to the outbreaking revolution, Andres Bonifacio sought for advice from Rizal. So, during that time, Andres Bonifacio is the leader of the Katipunan. So, on May 2, 1896, at Bidukang, Manok River in Pasig, so, may naganap na secret meeting with Pio Valenzuela. So, Pio Valenzuela is the representative of the group. So, nag-agree sila na si Pio Valenzuela ang pupunta sa Dapitan para i-inform si Rizal tungkol sa plano nilang revolusyon. So, he used the name of Procopio Bonifacio. So, aboard steamship Venus, Valenzuela left Manila on June 15, 1896, and he arrived at Manila Bay in June 21, 1896. So, together with Josephine Bracken, Narcisa, and Angelica Lopez. So Angelica Lopez is the daughter of Narcisa. So sinama din ni Valenzuela si Raimundo Mata na may sakit sa mata. So ang purpose ng papunta niya is ipagaling or ipagamot ang kanyang mata kay Rizal. And also may hidden purpose din sila. And yun ay para ma-inform si Rizal tungkol sa plano nila. So, nung dumating sila at night, Rizal and Valenzuela talk in the farmer's garden about their plan. So, nag-usap sila tungkol sa revolution, and Rizal did not agree with their plan dahil alam niya na madaming mga inosenteng tao ang manadamay, and also the Filipinos are unprepared for this bloody revolution, and also the katipunan is lack of machinery. So, kulang ang kanilang mga kagamitan para makipaglaban sa mga Spaniards. So, Rizal also advised to attract all wealthy and influential persons of Manila with the help of Antonio Luna. Valenzuela, on the other hand, told their plan to save Rizal, but he disagreed because of his word of honor. So, nag-advise si Rizal kay Valenzuela na makipagsani puwersa sa mga wealthy and influential na tao sa Manila or sa mga ilustrados. And they also plan to escape from the Pitan, pero hindi nag-agree si Jose Rizal dahil gusto niyang panindigan ang kanyang salita sa mga Spaniards. At dahil hindi nag-agree si Rizal sa kanilang plano, ay umalis si Valenzuela and Raimundo Mata sa Dapitan at hindi rin naigamot ang kanyang mata. So, now we'll proceed to nails in the coffin. So, dito na papasok ang second trip ni Rizal sa ibang bansa. So, nalaman ni Rizal na may nangyayaring revolution and epidemic sa Cuba dahil in-inform siya ni Ferdinand Dumadrid. So, nag-send siya ng letter kay Governor General Ramon Blanco noong December 17, 1895, and na-approve ang kanyang request noong July 1, 1895. So, ang purpose ng pag-send niya ng letter kay Governor General Ramon Blanco is to request na mag-volunteer siya bilang isang military doctor. So, Rizal's life can be compared to the youth moth allured by the flame of the oil lamp. So his burning desire to help and live for Cuba will not mean triumph for the enemy's dog, but actually meals for you. So dahil sa tagang nga sa Dapitan is napalapit na siya sa mga tao doon. Kaya nung nalaman nila na aalis na si Rizal sa Dapitan ay sobrang nalungkot ang mga tao dahil sa nalaman nila. The next is the trap is late. So July 31, 1896, Rizal's 4-year exile suddenly ended. So he left on board the steamer ship España together with Josephine, Narcisa, Angelica, 3 nephews, and 6 students. So August 6, 1896, nakarating si Rizal sa Manila Bay, pero hindi siya nakabiyahe agad dahil naiwan siya ng barko na sasakay sana siya. So he was transferred to a Spanish cruiser Castilla and stayed there for a month from August 6 to September 2, 1896. So that's all my report. Next reporter, please.
Good everyone, my name is Alexander Guste and I will be the news reporter for this group. So my topic for today is end of August 1896. So ano ba nangyari dito? So in August 23, 1896, Bonifacio and Katipuneros initiate the revolution against the Spanish colonial rule. Which means, si Bonifacio and the Katipuneros are nag-alsa na against the Spanish colonial rule. And dito din naganap yung sigaw sa Pugadlawi. Also, dito din nila pinunit yung kanilang sedula. Okay? So, Jose Rizal become aware of the revolution. So, which means, si Rizal is aware siya sa nagaganap na revolution. Dito meron tayo sa previous reporter, yung pinasend, merong pinasend si Bonifacio na tauhan niya para maghingi ng advice kay Jose Rizal and also to, syempre, i-alok sa kanya na sumama sa revolusyon. Pero, sa kasampal, ayaw ni Rizal kasi ayaw niya yung method na ginagamit ni Bonifacio, which is yung digmaan para sa kalayaan. Kasi gusto kasi ni Jose Rizal is mapayapa na method ang ginagamit para makuha yung sabi natin kalayaan ng Pilipinas. Okay? So next, yung sitwasyon ni Rizal naman. So Rizal was prohibited from leaving his place in Dapitan but also allowed to receive visitors. So which means, si Jose Rizal na is prohibited siya na prohibited siya na lumabas yung Dapitan. Pero, pwede siyang maka-receive ng visitor or pwede pa rin siyang kumuha ng visitor sa kanya or gustong bumisita sa kanya. Okay? So, despite of the limited freedom, Rizal eventually fall to the Spanish trap. So, ano ba yung Spanish trap na to? Yung Spanish trap is yung ginamit ng Spanish yung revolution against Rizal para mahuli ko siya. Okay? So, yun yung naganap. So, ginamit niya yung revolution. Even si Rizal ay hindi part ng revolution, pero ginamit yung kanyang mga libro, especially the Non Angre and the Filipinismo sa revolution. Okay? So, yun daw yung naging reason bakit merong revolution. Okay? So, next, punta naman tayo sa ultimo biyahe. So, it means the last journey. Okay? So, ano ba nangyari dito? So, in August 30, Governor General Ramon Blanco declares martial law in the 8th province of Luzon. So, ano na to 8th province na to? So, nandito siya. So, mayroong Manila, Bulacan, Pampanga, Nueva Ecija, Tarlac, Laguna, and the Cavite and the Batangas. So, yun yung mga 8th province na dineclare ng martial law ni Governor Ramon Blanco. Bakit? Kasi yung mga province na yun is doon kasi merong mga revolution or doon yung nagaganap ng mga digmaan or mga labanan dahil sa revolution or sa Katipuneros. Okay? Kaya dineclare yung martial law doon para meron pa rin control yung Spanish doon sa mga province na yun. Okay? Addition of that is yung mga 8 province na yan, which is yung mga nabanggit ko is kapag nakita nyo yung flag ng Pilipinas, yung sinag ng araw doon, each of that sinag doon is nagre-represent na 8 province na yun. Okay? Kasi, yun yung first na nag-alsa ng revolution in the Philippines. Okay? So, balik tayo sa topic. So next will be Rizal is transferred to Isla de Panay. So, Isla de Panay is the ship that sasakyan niya papuntang Cuba. So, anong gagawin niya sa Cuba? Binigyan siya ng permission na pumunta sa Cuba para maging doktor doon. Okay? So, doon niya nakilala itong si Captain Alemany. Okay? So, si Captain Alemany is nag-treat sa kanya na para kahit despite na threat siya sa Spanish, syempre, pinilit pa rin siya ng maganda nito. Okay? So, in the Isla de Panay ship, so Rizal was write a letter to his mother saying, everything in this time should divine providence. Okay? Which means, etong letter kasi na ito is parang sinunod na ni Rizal kasi parang alam na niya na mamamatay siya or i-execute siya ng mga Espanya. Okay? So, he moved to the cabin number 22 in the ship anchors near the Rizal. So, ito yung cabin, ito yung pinatay siya doon sa barko. Okay? So, and nung malapit na sa Manila, so, he marked the final leg for his final journey. So, that is all for my topic in this report. So, the next reporter will be Vida.
Thank you, Sir Alex here. So once again, I'm Kimberly Villacura. Now let's move on to a dangerous Filipino. Governor Blanco and the Minister of War and the colonies stated him as a dangerous Filipino. Yes, it is true that during Jose Rizal's time, the Spanish colonial authorities saw him as a dangerous Filipino. Due to his writings and activity that highlighted the injustice and abuses of the Spanish colonial government. Rizal's novels such as The No Limit Tangere and El Filibusterismo exposed the corruption and oppression under Spanish rule, and his ideas, national identity, and freedom resonate with many Filipinos. As a result, the Spanish authorities viewed Rizal as a threat to their control and attempt to silence him. He was arrested and exiled to Dapitan in Mindanao, where he continued his advocacy for reforms and support community development projects despite being labeled as a dangerous. Rizal maintained his commitment to the peaceful and intellectual resistance, emphasizing the importance of educational and enlightenment as a catalyst for change. So, he learned that the lies and become object of malicious talks and informed. Yes, it is true that Jose Rizal, being a proponent figure and advocates for reforms during the Spanish colonial period, became a target malicious talks and false accusations. Some individuals who were threatened by his ideas and actions spread lies about him undermined his credibility and reputation. So, Rizal, being a man of integrity and truth, was deeply affected by these attempts to tarnish his name. However, he did not let the lies determine his mission. Instead, he used this platform to address the false accusation and expose the truth. Rizal was more aware of the power of propaganda and misinformation, and it took him upon himself to counteract these lies with the facts and rational arguments. Through these writings and public speech, he sought the enlightenment and educate the people about the injustice of colonial government and the importance of peaceful reforms. San Roque was being bombed by and 60 Filipinos were ordered shot. So Rizal sailed for Cuba via Spain in September 4, 1896. Rizal was informed of the rumors that he was the cause of disturbance in Manila. A young student, a native of Argon, informed him that around 600 Filipinos were already ordered shot by the Spanish authorities. So, the cop informed him that he was implicated with the revolution and realized he was being dogged by the Spanish colonials. So, yes, that is correct. Dr. Rizal was indeed informed by Captain Rafael Dominguez, a Spanish military officer, that he was being implicated in the 1896 Philippines Revolution. This informed came as a surprise to Rizal, as he was not directly involved in the revolution, was instead focused on advocating for peaceful reforms through his writing and intellectual pursuits. Rizal realized that he was being used as a scapegoat by the Spanish authorities, who wanted to suppress the growing national sentimentals in the Philippines. Despite his innocence, Rizal was arrested and accused of being involved in the revolution. So, October 3, 1896 arrived in Barcelona, and Rizal as a prisoner. Warden was the military commander of Barcelona, General
Eugenio Diz Bohol. So, yes, in October 3, 1896, Dr. Rizal arrived in Barcelona, Spain. But this time, he was not there as a free man. He was held as a prisoner under the custody of military commander of Barcelona, General Eugenio Diz Bohol. Rizal arrested and subsequent imprisoned were part of the aftermath of outbreak of the Philippines Revolution in August 1896. Spanish authorities under the command of Governor General Camilo de Polavieja saw Rizal as a threat due to his influence and nationalistic ideas expressed in his writing. General Diz Bohol was tasked with overseeing Rizal's imprisonment during his time in Barcelona. Rizal, confident he has a strict rule and limitation, he was closely monitored by Spanish. However, despite his imprisonment, Rizal continued to write and correspond with his support and friends and expressing his views and political situation in the Philippines and advocate the reforms. So, imprisoned in Montjuic Castles after the 3 days, then on board Colon and left for Manila. He was put behind the bars before reaching ports. So, after being arrested in Barcelona on December 30, 1896, Jose Rizal was transferred to the Montjuic Castle. He was held there for a few days before being transferred to Manila on board the ship of SS Colon, Spanish steamer. So, however, it is important to note that the Rizal did not reach to the port of Manila. Instead, the ship was diverted to the military barracks of Port Santiago in Manila, where Rizal's imprisoned. He was incarcerated there until his trial and subsequent execution on December 30, 1896. So, during his imprisonment, Rizal continued to write and correspond with a friend supporter, sharing his thoughts and hopes the future of the Philippines. Despite of the confinement, he remained steadfast, and his principle is continued to advocate for peaceful reforms and social justice. So, confiscated diary and handcuff. Yes, during his imprisonment in Fort Santiago, Jose Rizal's belongings include his diary, which were confiscated by the Spanish authorities. The authorities confiscated his personal belongings as a part of the efforts to monitor and control his activity. Rizal's diary contained his thoughts, reflection, and observation, which made it a valuable resource insight into his views and experience. Additionally, Rizal ended handcuffed while he was being held in Fort Santiago. Handcuffing was common practice of poor prison at that time, particularly those who considered be a high profile or dangerous. Despite this restriction and the harsh condition of his imprisonment, Rizal remained resilient and continued to write, finding ways to express him and communicate with his family, friends, and supporters. So, let's proceed to the last attempt to save a hero. So, Antonio Maria Regidor and Mr. Port England, 2 telegrams tried to aid Rizal 3 times as the English woman who interviewed the Queen Regent. And Ambet Ocampos word a kangaroo court to sentence him to death. So, Antonio Maria Regidor and Mr. Port England were individuals who made effort to aid Dr. Jose Rizal during his trial and imprisonment. They sent telegrams in an attempt to seek assistance for Rizal's case. So Antonio Maria Regidor, a respectful lawyer and journalist, sent a telegram to Queen Regent Maria Cristina of Spain appealing for her interview and many towards Rizal. Similarly, Mr. Port England, an Englishman, also sent a telegram in support of Rizal appealing to international authorities for assistance. So, despite these efforts, Rizal's trials was conducted by military court. often referred to as a kangaroo court. Due to the concern about the fairness and impartiality, Rizal was found guilty and sentenced to the death by firing squad. So the effort of individuals like Regador in England, along with the others who sought to advocate for Rizal's case, highlight the sentiments of many who believe in the need for a fair and just trial. So that's all for my discussion. Let's proceed to the next topic. So Mr. Octaviano will take the floor. Thank you.
Once again, my name is John Michael Octaviano. Let's continue, no? Trila in Manila. So, after Dr. Jose Rizal, no, nag-aral sa ibang bansa, so he decided to go back in the Philippines. So, that was on November 3, 1896. So, Dr. Jose Rizal, no, was arrived in the Philippines and it was so sensational. So, yung pag-uwi ni Dr. Jose Rizal is naging sensational. Kasi nga, maraming nakakaalam na si Dr. Jose Rizal ay pinakamagaling, pinakasikat, no? Maraming mga achievements and yun na nga, yung dahil sa mga ginawa niyang novel sa ibang bansa. At yung mga achievement ni Dr. Jose Rizal is syempre umaabot ito sa Pilipinas at nalalaman ito ng mga praile. So mas nagiging high blood yung mga Spaniards, no? Dahil sa mga achievement ni Dr. Jose Rizal. Yun na nga, bad shot na si Dr. Jose Rizal sa mga Spanish. And then, so, nakapasok, no? Nakapasok yung libro ni Dr. Jose Rizal na, which is yung Noli Me Tangere, by the help of Hong Kong man, no? Si Basa. So, si Basa ay na tumulong kay Dr. Jose Rizal para ma-smuggle yung libro na Noli Me Tangere na hindi nalalaman ng mga Kastila. Okay, so yung pinaka-purpose talaga ni Dr. Jose Rizal sa pagpunta dito sa Pilipinas o yung pag-uwi is to establish the organization which is the La Liga Pilipina. So after ma-establish, no, ni Dr. Jose Rizal yung La Liga Pilipina is nalaman ito ng mga praile, no? Dahil sa mga apat na rason, no? So nahuli si Dr. Jose Rizal dahil dahil sa 4 reasons. So yung number 1 is, no, Dr. Jose Rizal wrote book anti-Catholic. So sumulat siya ng mga libro na anti-Catholic or anti-friar. So parang sinisiraan ni Dr. Jose Rizal yung Katoliko or yung mga friars. So and second is yung sinulat ni Dr. Jose Rizal yung Pobres Frailes, di ba nga? So ito yung mga pagkurap ng mga frailes sa mga Pilipino or sa mga balo, yung kinukurap nila yung mga pera. So yung number 3 naman is yung writings of Rizal, yung Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. So yun na nga, nabasa ng mga Spaniards yung novel which is yung Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. And yung 4 reason, no, yung last reason is yung pag-criticize ni Dr. Jose Rizal sa religion and yung Catholic Church, no. So yun yung dahilan bakit hinuli si Dr. Jose Rizal dahil sa kanyang mga ginawa. So after no, Rizal left from his exile in Dapitan to Manila or Spain. So pinatapon si Dr. Jose Rizal sa Dapitan, no, dahil doon siya kinulong. And then in 1892 Rizal was transferred to Fort Santiago. So after siya kinulong sa Dapitan, no, i-transfer na siya ng mga praile sa Fort Santiago. Bale doon na siya ikukulong dahil sa kanyang ginawang kasalanan. And also, no, yung judge pala, no, yung judge advocate is the Governor General Ramon. So siya yung judge sa paglilitis sa kaso ni Dr. Jose Rizal. And also, no, the trial of Rizal, napaka-injustice, di ba nga? Alam naman natin na yung mga friars are ina-underestimate nila yung mga Pilipino, no?
especially si Dr. Jose Rizal, kasi nga si Dr. Jose Rizal is a pure Filipino. So yung paglitis sa kaso ni Dr. Jose Rizal is very injustice and misrule, no, by the Spaniards. So yung parang minamanipulate nila yung kaso ni Dr. Jose Rizal, kasi nga gusto talaga nilang makulong talaga si Dr. Jose Rizal sa mga kasong binigay sa kanya. So let's go to fishing evidence. So yung fishing evidence, no, when during November 20, 1896, no, evidence were planted and fabricated. So lahat ng mga ebidensya kay Dr. Jose Rizal is purely planted, no? Parang ginawa lamang para matiin yung kasalanan ni Dr. Jose Rizal, kasi nga ayaw talaga ng mga priors kay Dr. Jose Rizal, kasi feeling ng mga Spaniards ay sinisiraan ni Dr. Jose Rizal yung simbahang Katoliko at yung mga priors, yung mga Spanish, yung mga administrasyon ng mga Spanish. So preliminary investigation of results begin. So in that year, no, November 20, 1896, na continue na, no, yung investigation kay Dr. Jose Rizal. So nag-start na yung paglilitis kay Dr. Jose Rizal sa mga kaso niya. So prosecution presented 15 documents, no, against Dr. Jose Rizal. So the prosecution was may 15 documents nila, no, na pinagdidiin na may kasalanan talaga si Dr. Jose Rizal. So number 1 is the letter from Antonio Luna to Mariano Ponce. Dr. Jose Rizal, may letter siyang para kay Antonio Luna to Mariano Ponce. So isa yon sa mga documents against kay Dr. Jose Rizal. So second is the letter of Rizal to his sister written on August 20, 1890. So Dr. Jose Rizal, may letter siya para sa kanyang kapatid, no? At ito ay mga nilalaman ng mga importanteng bagay na pagbubunyag sa mga bagay-bagay na kanyang iningatan. So number 4 is Kundiman, a poem is calling for liberty. So 6, Masonic document, liberty, equality, and fraternity. And we have 7, letter of Rizal from Hong Kong, May 24, 1892. And 13 is the Viva Filipinas. So 15 naman is the Himno Talisay. So yan ang mga documents na present, no, during Rizal prosecution. So there are also documents naman, no, na hindi na present, no. Document number 3, 5, 8, 10, 11, and 14. So that documents was omitted from the list because it's harmless. So ito mga documents, no, 6 documents ay parang na-omitted to siya dahil parang harmless siya, parang hindi siya against when it comes sa mga Spaniards, no. So December 11 also 1896, information of charges Rizal. So yan nabigay na yung mga charges kay Dr. Jose Rizal batay sa kanya sa paglilitis sa kanyang kaso. And we have the December 15, 1896. So Rizal wrote manifest to his people. So nagsulat ulit si Dr. Jose Rizal para sa kanyang mga mamahal na kapwa Pilipino.
Good day everyone, my name is Mary Ann Andico. So now let's proceed to the kangaroo trial. So what does kangaroo means during the Jose Rizal's trial? So the term kangaroo is often used to describe a judicial proceeding that lacks fairness, impartiality, or legality during Jose Rizal's trial in 1896. So the Philippines was under Spanish colonial rule, and the court proceedings were widely criticized for their lack of due process and fairness. So Rizal's actual trial began on December 26, 1896 and was held at the Hall of Banners of the Cuartel de España in Fort Santiago. So ano nga ba itong Cuartel de España? Ito ay isang gusali o lugar kung saan lilitisin si Dr. Jose Rizal. So Rizal was charged with 3 crimes. So it is the rebellion, sedition, and formation of illegal association. So in defending himself, Rizal presented 12 arguments. So to prove his innocence, he presented 12 points. So I will going to read the 12 arguments. So the first one is, as testified by Payo Valenzuela, Rizal was against rebellion. So wala siyang kaugnayan sa revolusyon dahil siya mismo ang nagpayo kay Dr. Pio Valenzuela noon sa dapitan na huwag na silang mag-aklas. The second one is, he had not written a letter addressed to the Katipunan compromising revolutionary elements. So, hindi siya nakipag-sulatan sa mga elementong radikal at revolusyonaryo. The third one is, without his knowledge, his name was used by the Katipunan. If he was guilty, he could have escaped while he is in Singapore. So, ginamit ng mga revolusyonaryo ang kanyang pangalan nang hindi niya alam. So, kung siya ay may sala, di sana'y tumakas siya sa Singapore. And the fourth one is, if he was guilty, he should have left the country while in exile. He should not have built a home, bought a parcel of land, or established a hospital in Dapitan. So, kung may kaugnayan siya sa revolusyon, di sana'y tumakas siya sakay ng isang bintang moro at di nagpatayo ng tahanan, ospital at bumili ng lupain sa Dapitan. Ikalima, or the fifth one is, if he was the leader of the revolution, the revolutionist should have consulted him. So, kung siya ang pinuno ng revolusyon, bakit hindi siya kinonsulta ng mga revolusyonaryo? And the sixth one, he did not deny that he wrote the bylaws of the La Liga Filipina, but to make things clear, the organization was a civic association, not a revolutionary society. So, inamin niya na siya ang sumulat ng konstitusyon ng La Liga Filipina, ngunit ito ay pansibikong asosasyon at hindi isang samahang pang-revolusyon. So, the seventh one is, after the first meeting of Liga, the association vanished because of his exile in Dapitan. So, thus, did not last long. So, hindi nagtagal ang La Liga Filipinas sapagkat pagkatapos ng unang pulong ay pinatapon na si Rizal sa Dapitan. 8. If the Liga was recognized 9 months later, he had no idea about it. So, kung muling nabuhay ang La Liga Filipina, pagkaraan ng 9 na buwan, hindi niya ito alam. So, the 9, if the Liga had a revolutionary purpose, then Katipunan should not have been recognized. So, hindi itinaguyod ng La Liga Filipina ang mga simulan ng mga revolusyonaryo kung hindi sanay di na itinatag ang Katipunan. So, the 10th argument is, if the Spanish authorities found his letters having a bitter atmosphere, it was because in 1980, his family was being persecuted, resulting in their disposition of properties and deportation of all his brothers-in-law. Kaya, ang dahilan ng mapapait na komentaryo niya ay dahil noong 1890, ang kanyang pamilya ay inuusig, kinukumpiska ang bahay, bodega, lupain at iba pa. At ang kanyang kapatid na lalaki at mga bayaw ay ipinatapon. 11. He lived an exemplary life in Dapitan. The politico-military commanders and missionary priests in the province could attest to that. So, ang buhay ni Rizal sa Dapitan ay kapuri-puri kahit itanong pa sa mga komentanteng naroon at sa mga misyonaryong pari. So, the last one is, if according to the witnesses, the speech he delivered at Doroteo Onghuangco's house had inspired the revolution, then he wanted to confront these persons if he was for the revolution. Then, why did the Katipunan send an unfamiliar emissary to him in Dapitan? So, it is because all his friends were aware that he never advocate violence. So, noong siya ay nagtatalumpati sa bahay ni Doroteo Onghuangco, hindi totoong pinukaw ng kanyang talumpati ang revolusyon. Alam ng mga kaibigan niya na tutol siya sa mga armandong revolusyon, kaya kahit nagpadala ang Katipunan ng isang sugo sa Dapitan na hindi niya kakilala. Dahil ang mga kakilala niya ay may alam na hindi siya payag sa anumang kilusang marahas. So, sa pagtatanggol ng sarili at pagsamo ni Rizal ay hindi na pinakinggan ng hukom dahil may pinapanigan na silang desisyon. So, the court judged Rizal guilty for the charges and voted for the death penalty. So, in December 28, 1896, Governor General Polavieja signed Rizal's death warrant ordering him to be shot at 7 o'clock in the morning at Bagong Bayan. So, Rizal signed it saying that he was innocent. So, let's proceed in the alone in the cell. So, Captain Rafael Dominguez at 6 o'clock in the morning on December 29, 1896, read before him the official notice of his execution. Scheduled the next day, Rizal immediately transferred to the prison chapel where he spent his last hours on earth. So, si Kapitan Rafael Dominguez ang inatasan na mamahala sa paghahanda ng pagbitay kay Jose Rizal at nagbasa ng hatol na kamatayan. So that is all about my report. So now let's proceed to Miss Ardueyod. Thank you.
Good day everyone, my name is Luciana Charuyud. So now let's proceed to the last masterpiece of Jose Rizal. Nang marinig ni Rizal ang desisyon ng korte, alam niya na hindi na mapapalitan ang kanyang tadhana. At 6 o'clock in the morning of December 29, 1896, Captain Rafael Dominguez read him the official notice of his execution. Rizal spent his last hours by going to the prison chapel. His mother and his sister visited him on the same day. He then gave his remaining possessions, reached out for the gas lamp, and gave it to his sister Trinidad and carefully whispered, "There is something inside." Then Trinidad and his sister Maria got a copy of Rizal's last poem from the lamp. Unfortunately, it was said that on his last day that Rizal was not allowed to embrace his mother. Now, let's proceed to the letters and tears. Rizal had his last supper in the evening of December 29, 1896. At that time, sinabi niya rin kay Captain Dominguez na pinapatawad niya na ang kanyang mga kaaway, lalo na ang taong gustong magpapatay sa kanya. Sino nga ba ang taong yon? Siya ay walang iba kundi si Gobernador General Polavieja. Siya ang taong gustong mamatay na si Rizal at siya rin ang nagutos na patayin si Rizal. At 3 in the morning on the day of his execution, he prayed and confessed his sin in the chapel. At exactly 5:30 in the morning, he had his last breakfast of 3 hard-boiled eggs. After breakfast, he sang some memorabilia including religious pictures and books. Ang iba naman doon ay binigay niya sa kanyang ina at kapatid na babae na si Trinidad. At sa kanyang asawa naman na si Josephine, he gave the Imitation de Cristo as a gift. Sumulat din siya ng mga liham para sa kanyang magulang at mga kapatid. Ito nga pala ang mga liham na sinulat ni Jose Rizal para sa kanyang pamilya. Babasahin ko ito isa-isa, bawat liham. To my family, I ask you for forgiveness for the pain I caused you. But someday, I shall have to die, and it is better that I die now in the plenitude of my conscience. Dear parents, brother and sisters, give thanks to God that I may preserve my tranquility before my death. I die resigned, hoping that with my death you will be left in peace. It is better to die than to live suffering. Console yourselves. I enjoin you to forgive one another the little meanness of life and try to live united in peace and good harmony. That your parents, as you would like to be treated by your children later, love them very much in my memory. Bury me in the ground. Place a stone and a cross over it. My name, the date of my birth, and of my death. Nothing more. If later you wish to surround my grave with feasts, you can do so. No anniversaries. I prepare Paang Bundok. Have pity on Josephine. My dear brother, it is now 4.5 years since we have seen one another, or have we exchanged letters. This is, I think, is not because of any lack of love on my part or yours, but because, knowing one another so well, we do not need to talk in order to be understood by one another. Now I am about to die, and it's to you that I dedicate my last line, to tell you how I'm sorry I am to leave you alone in this life, burdened with the weight of the family and all of our old parents. I am thinking how hard you have worked to give me a career. I have tried not to waste my time. My brother, if their riot has been bitter, it is not my fault, but the fault of circumstances. I know that you have suffered much for me, and I'm sorry. I assure you, brother, that I die innocent of this crime of rebellion, that my former writings may have contributed toward it. I cannot fully deny, but then, I thought I had expiated for the past in my deportation. Tell our father that I remember him, and how much I remember his affection, and his love since my earliest childhood. Ask him to forgive me for the pain I have unwillingly caused him. Signed by Jose Rizal. To my beloved father, pardon me for the pain with which I repay you for sorrows and sacrifices for my education. I did not want, nor did I prefer it. Goodbye, Father, goodbye. To my dear mother, Señora Doña Teodora Alonso, 6 o'clock in the morning, December 30, 1986. Jose Rizal, to die is to rest. Ito ang mga liham na sinulat ni Jose Rizal bago siya mamatay. Rizal was wearing a black suit, black pants, black bowler hat, and white shirt with his arms tied behind his back. Si Rizal ay naglalakad patungo sa Bagong Bayan at 6:30 in the morning of December 30, 1896. Kasama niya ang kanyang defense lawyer na si Andrade at ang dalawang suit price na si March and Villa Clara. In front of them were the advance guard of armed soldiers, and behind them were another group of military men. Ang pagtunog ng trumpeta ay nagsisimbolo na magsisimula na ang pagpatay kay Jose Rizal. People were lined up in the streets. Some were sympathetic to him, but the others, especially the Spaniards, wanted nothing less than to see him die. Prior to his death, si Rizal ay nanatiling kalmado at napansin din ng spectators na si Rizal nodding his head from left to right when he sees the familiar faces in the crowd. Some people even saw that Rizal smiled from time to time. Sa araw ng pagpatay kay Rizal, he refused to kneel down and declined the traditional blindfold dahil hindi daw siya naging taksil o traidor sa kanyang bansa at sa mga Espanyol. He even requested to face the firing squad. The commander of this firing squad denied his request, but after some time, sumang-ayon din si Rizal to turn his back to the firing squad, ngunit nag-request na siya na hindi siya babarilin sa kanyang ulo kundi sa kanyang likod lamang. When agreement has been reached, binitawan na ni Rizal ang kamay ng kanyang defense lawyer. Before leaving Rizal in his appointed place, the friars offered him a kiss, but Rizal turned his head away and silently prepared for his death. When the command had been given, the executors' guns barked at once. Rizal yelled cries towards consummatum est. Ano nga ba ang sa English ang consummatum est? Yes, very good. Ang ibig sabihin nito ay it is finished or it is done. Rizal shot at exactly 7 o'clock a.m. Silence was over. Unfortunately, the captain did not keep the words about the request made by Rizal of not shooting his head, but one of his men came near to the body and gave Rizal tira de gracia or the mercy shot in the head to make sure that Rizal is dead. Before the day of Rizal's execution, sumulat muna siya ng liham para sa kanyang matalik na kaibigan. Sino nga ba ang kanyang matalik na kaibigan? Yes, you're right. It was Blumentritt. And dito din sumulat si Rizal ng kanyang last poem, and this is the longest he ever written. It was entitled Mi Ultimo Adios or My Last Farewell. That's all for my topic.